Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Capt Ron here for a weekly edition of Fearless Flight Live. It's a Tuesday night, and that means anybody who's afraid to fly, or people who know somebody is afraid to fly, or if you just like to talk about the airline industry and flying, you're in the right place. So welcome, and thanks for joining us. My cohort and co-host, Dieter Staudinger, up there. Dieter has his master's degree in counseling, like I do. So together we make a whole shrink. We're two half shrinks. I just made that up there. So and let me go over here and put the title slide up there so it looks sort of like I know what I'm doing. And we'll start the show. And I need to share my screen. And come on.
All right. So we're seeing your inbox.
Yeah, I know it. We jumped over to the wrong one, and of course it disappeared completely.
But I will say one thing. In this email particularly, it says, "Oh my God, thank you so much for this." And this is while Ron tries to get up the real slide.
We're going to actually talk about that tonight. So
this is actually a formerly fearful flyer, and there we go. Here is our Fearless Flight weekly live show.
Very good. And all I got to do is get the notes screen up.
And now we are there we go. We're back.
Hold it, stand by, everybody. I got to end the show. I've got to go over because when I went out of the show, it changed the primary monitor. Favorite part about PowerPoint. Start, switch to screens. And now we should be welcoming you all aboard.
Like one of those niggly delays when you sit on the tarmac for like an extra few minutes.
Exactly. Yep. And what we're doing in the cockpit, pretty much the same thing. What you don't want to hear is, what's it doing now? Because that's usually not a good sign. But anyway, as you've all heard me say, it is so much easier flying airplanes than it is flying my computer. So at any rate, so welcome again to the show this week. We got a special guest, Tiffany Torito. And if you got the email that Dieter sent out just a few minutes ago, that was a quote from Tiffany, and she has a unique experience flying, a couple of them, and we're going to talk about those tonight. She's agreed to come on and be our guinea pig at great personal risk to herself, and we promise we'd be gentle there. We're going to talk about the 301 flights classes coming up, Burbank and Phoenix. If you don't know what that means we're actually going to meet with a group of people in Burbank. I'm going to meet some people in Burbank on October 21st, and we're going to go to Sacramento and back. And then the following week, I'm going to meet with a group of people here at the Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. And we're going to go to Burbank and back, and we're going to get everybody ready for the holidays. Some people literally we're going to fly with them. Others we're going to teach them how. And because of that, we're announcing a free webinar that Dieter and I just put together this week for delivery this Saturday for anybody. Free training in to help you understand how you or see perhaps the next step to get over your fear of flying. And we got aviation news updates. It's actually going to come in the form of a question. I should have combined the last two. So with that, I'm going to ask Tiffany if she wouldn't mind joining us, and we'll get this party started. And there, okay. Yay! Hi, Tiffany. Welcome. So glad to have you. Just a little, I'll give a little bit of the backstory. Tiffany and I flew together, how was it, about 3 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you had planned to go out and practice on your own. Is it last Sunday?
Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
And you decided not to fly, and you just thought you'd talk to me because you missed me.
I did.
So anyway, so thanks for showing up, and because this is so important to people. One of the things Dieter and I've been working on some some YouTube advertising, and one of the things we got feedback on was our ads are too calming. They said we need to convey a certain element of stress to people, and because they said when you read by the time they get done looking at your ad and your video and stuff like that, they're all calmed down, they forgot about it. And I found that's really true, because and that's why tonight I thought would be a great opportunity to talk to somebody who's really been there. You and I met about 4 years ago, and I'll let you just interject. So when you first found us, how'd you find me to start with?
Just a Google search. You guys, it was you and another captain, and I had the opportunity to talk to both of you, and I like the idea that you offered to fly with the people where the other one did not. It was just, strictly a course, which I'm sure is great. And I just really thought that would be helpful for me. And it was, so that's kind of how I found you guys.
And you've been working on that? We've been talking off and on for about 4 years, and then it all came to a head. And why did you decide now was the time that you had to get over this, or you wanted to move on?
So I've missed a lot of family trips. I have a lot of opportunity to travel with my, family. And unfortunately, I just haven't been able to fly. It was 19 years before 3 weeks ago. The last time I flew, and I had a pretty bad panic attack. And, I just decided that I really want to go places, and I want to see things, and I want to be with my children. I have a 22-year-old and I have a 19-year-old that to do things with. And, so that's kind of the inspiration. And also I'm just kind of tired of being scared of something that I know is very safe. And, I call it my rational brain. Yeah. So that's also a big motivation as well.
Yeah. And so it just got to be time. I joke with people, we get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so,
exactly.
Yeah. So we did some coaching, and you got together. We met 3 weeks ago or whatever it was now. Yeah. And why don't you tell everybody what it was like? What was it like flying with me?
It was great. Honestly, I want to hire you to go everywhere with me. I've already told my husband that. I think he should just be a part of our family. So it was really good. You were it was awesome. Like, you were very calming, very reassuring. I really enjoyed getting on the flight with you, getting to know you. You were very good at, distracting me. I think that's a lot of anxiety is just, just being in your head too much, I think. And you did a great job at really, kind of distracting me and making sure to reassure me that I was good. I think that was also really, really important. And a lot of the anticipatory anxiety was, just that I didn't know what to expect, and you were able to really help me understand what the next steps were, what they were doing, and I thought that was all extremely valuable to me.
Yeah. So just a lot of real-time stuff is what I usually end up doing, answering people's questions and stuff. And they get, and a lot of people, tell me that, well, I really know a lot about flying. I just don't like feeling trapped and stuff like that, which is, of course, that's true and it's powerful. But I find that the people really do like knowing, asking questions and getting answers right there in the moment. And that's whether I fly with people individually, like I did, like you and I did, or whether we do the 301, which you're going to come and fly with us again on the 301, right? Okay.
Yes.
But the reason I've got the text here that you sent us, so let's let people know how real this is, because the one thing is people say, well, she's just not as afraid as I am. So you, despite the fact that we flew together and you were feeling really super and really powerful on that, when you got to the airport, you tried to do a flight last Saturday with your husband, and it says, hi, I'm here, I'm freaking out. and you mentioned that your husband, and I know he's a supportive guy because I've talked to him, met him, but like a lot of things that that happened, or this happens to a lot of fearful flyers, is when they're flying with a loved one, the loved one doesn't know what to do. So sometimes they get stressed, and then you see their stress, and then the party's off and running. And that's one of the things you did, and then you said, he just didn't understand. And you said, I feel like I'm getting sick and dizzy. And take us through that. What happened after that?
Yeah, it was crazy. So I will say, I kind of just from the time I was leaving for the airport. So just very quick backstory. So we were flying back to Phoenix to pick up a vehicle my husband was purchasing, and we were going to drive it back. So again, it was a nice one-way flight that, just practice. Well, we were going from a different airport. We normally fly out of Burbank. We had to fly out of Ontario because that was the only flight we could get. And that kind of threw me off. I was like, I'm not used to flying from Ontario. So it kind of got into my head okay, wow, I don't know if I want to do that. Driving there, it was, equally bad. Just I felt like I had just felt really sick, to my stomach, really nervous stomach.
Sure.
And then, getting there, it was just.
Oops, I'm sorry. You know what I did? I can't. Can you check your audio? If you're on your phone, you may have to swipe that, Tiffany. Your audio just dropped off.
Oh, weird. Can you hear me now?
We got you.
Oh, sorry about that. So sorry. Yeah. So just getting on there, I just started feeling pretty nauseated and a little dizzy because I just kind of felt a little bit out of control. I did ask to pre-board, like you had mentioned, which I do think is very helpful. I didn't get an opportunity to talk to the pilot. And I think it was just a combination of me just feeling very, very scared. And I'm in no way I'm trying to, say my husband should have been my savior, but I didn't feel as comfortable telling him and being vulnerable with him about it because I don't want to stress him out, where I'm oh, I can stress you out because you're used to it, but I will say, I told him, I when I flew with you versus when I flew with him, I feel like when I flew with you, I was pretty calm and cool, the whole time. I never really had any freak out. I was very no, this is the way it is.
Right.
I think also another issue that I kind of experienced when we were flying together, I did notice my body was very in tune with them pressing on the gas and decelerating and taking off the gas. I don't know if that's the right word. But it kind of weirded me out. And I don't know if that kind of had some issue, if I had some issue with that, being oh my God, I didn't like that. Am I going to be more scared because he doesn't know what's happening versus where you knew what was happening, so there's a couple things that I think that were just kind of throwing me off and, but I just know I need to do it. And that's why I'm excited to fly with you again, because I think, and my husband's going too with us. So.
And for anybody out there, when we do the 301, both places, I encourage people to bring their spouse, their partner, their coach, or somebody that's friendly with them along with them, because we'll talk about what they can do to support the person. Really, it's minimal support, but you just really need the support right at those peak times when you're boarding the airplane, when you get on and they close the door, and then when you take off. Those are the peak times. In turbulence is a plus if they have any clue what to do and say to you. But that's what we'll do. And so we'll have a chance to help Krister come up with some ideas about what so we can do like that. So let's talk about people, because there on occasion I have people when we do the 301 classes that go and they don't get on the airplane. So talk about what was that? How hard was it for you to make that decision to get off the airplane?
Oh,
maybe
honestly, that's not a hard decision.
How much? Yeah. I'll say this. How painful was it for you to get off? I think that's
yes. Yeah. Painful for sure. It made me feel very defeated. It's not a hard decision. I am definitely, for myself, I'm definitely a runner. If I don't feel comfortable, I am okay, I'm done. I struggle to push myself sometimes when I'm really scared because I like to be in control. But in terms of painful, yeah, it really sucked, because I will say, like, the high I felt and the great I felt after flying and landing with you was probably next to the best thing that, next to having my children, like it was
Yeah.
like a big accomplishment, and it made me feel so like, like, oh man, I can do this, so empowered, and so that part of it really sucked. And I've gotten off planes before and it's never affected me as long. Like I was like, oh, whatever, next time. But this time was definitely different. I was really pretty upset with myself, for a few days. I'm still like annoyed, because I'm like, why couldn't I do it? What was so different, and why couldn't I just force myself? But I just, I don't know. I mean, that's all questions I'm trying to kind of come up with, or answers I'm trying to come up with. But yeah.
Remember my conversation with you and my suggestions as to how to approach when you got off the airplane?
Yeah. You told me just that to take care of myself, and, obviously it's not a failure. It's a journey, like, and that's hard, because like it does feel like a failure, and it feels like, gosh, why did that happen to me again? Like, why can't I just be normal? So that's the frustrating part, is like it, I've said that a couple times to one of my, friends. I was like, I just want to be normal. And she's like, I don't think it's a normal or, not normal thing. I think she's like, it's just a fear. And I'm like, yeah, but it just sucks.
And the thing I encouraged you and encourage other people is not to beat on yourself, and just reframe the experience in, okay, I thought I was ready. I wasn't, just wasn't the right day. And I've had people, even when we've had people that fly in the 301 class that end up getting off, of all those people that have ever done that, when they come back the second time, they end up flying. So it just, and I try to have them reframe it the same way. It just wasn't my day to fly there. And so, and I just had a 15-minute coaching student on Sunday or on Saturday, and she was supposed to fly with her husband and 2 or 3 children to a wedding from New York to Seattle. And she got off the airplane just like you did. And she was just devastated. Yeah. And, and I tried to tell her the same reassuring things, it's just something that you've got it to get to work on, to educate yourself and learn how to change the way you think about the flight, think about yourself and all that. So anyway, so I'm excited. I want to thank you again for coming on tonight. Any wisdom that you have to share with people about, just getting on the flight, even though it was with me and all that, how hard was that? How hard is that for you?
It's very hard. I think the hardest part is just the, feeling like, I think I shared with you that I thought my fear was that I was trapped. I actually think my fear is totally different. I think I'm really afraid that it's going to crash, and I was like, wow, like, so now that I understand that, it makes it even like more challenging, because I'm like, okay, I'm really facing something that I know is, very highly unlikely, but, thinking about that is very scary, so like forcing myself to get on the plane with you was scary, and forcing myself to get on the plane, even though ultimately I got off, was still scary, because that's something that you have to really think about.
Exactly. Well, you did fabulous. And I remember when you were asking me, he says, what's it going to be like and stuff. And I said, when we fly, it's probably going to be, you're going to have whatever anxiety you do coming to the airport. And then within 15 minutes or so from the time we get airborne and stuff, it's going to probably, and I would say within a couple of minutes, you were like totally airworthy.
Yes, it felt very good.
And some people are even hold that suspect because they think, okay, what's wrong? I'm not being as freaked out as what I thought I was going to be. Anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll check with Dieter and see if there's anybody that's got any comments or questions for you, and then we'll come back. So
we got a lot of hearts there on your courage and sharing, because I think a lot of people can identify. And the reality is, and Susan pointed that out, it's not normal, and I really mean that. For us, it's not normal. And so that means we're completely outside of our comfort zone. And I think that's what you described really, really well, Tiffany. So if somebody couldn't fly with Ron just because geographically, or maybe it's not in their budget, what kind of things have you maybe learned, or that you could pass on, that you feel are really, really powerful, that could help others as well?
I honestly think Ron actually gave me a very good idea, which I do think was helpful. Was journaling kind of like every feeling that I was feeling. Like I kind of just started like jotting down things, and now I can kind of like reflect on that a little bit. I think that that's been helpful. I mean, ultimately I didn't fly, but I still think that was like very powerful for me to kind of be like, okay, well, why did I feel that way? Kind of. So I think if you don't have the opportunity to fly with Ron or somebody, I think that journaling would be very helpful. And then distraction is also, I think, probably very helpful as well. Those are the two things that I kind of found that were helpful to me.
Yeah, thanks. And journaling is one of the ones that I've used in my personal life a lot. And it doesn't mean you have to get a fancy journal and you have to sit down and identify a part of the day, and you don't have to write a diary that's publishing by somebody. You just have a little one of those little bitty spiral notebooks, and you just write down, this sucks.
I did it on my phone. My phone in my notes. It was that easy, because I was like, I didn't even have a piece of paper or pen. I'm like, so I was just like, hey, you know what? I got to write this down. And it has been helpful, because I have been able to kind of reflect on it quite a bit.
Yeah. So I want to move on to the rest of the show here. Stay with us if you can, and
Okay.
and if you got a comment or anything, we're going to talk about the upcoming classes. And
Great.
I'm going to have a webinar, which I decided, since you and I last talked, I'm going to have a webinar for free this Saturday. So it's some free education, free content. And I'm hoping that a lot of people out there can join with us. So let me sure I got the right screen here and put it up. And okay, so you should be looking at my Fearless Flight Birds of a Feather group. I always want to highlight that. I think you're a member, aren't you, Tiffany, of the Birds of a Feather group?
I am. Yes, I am.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I highly recommend people joining that. So here's the big deal. We're going to come. It's in the fall. Everybody, we cut back on our live classes in Phoenix here for July and August, because people who are going to fly have already made their plans typically. But this is we like to do a class like this, 301 class, as much as possible this time of the year, because there are people who want to make plans to fly over Thanksgiving and Christmas. So that would be the bottom line for a lot of people out there, and for anybody who just wants to get back in the air and do it with a group of like-minded people. So in Los Angeles, October 21st, we're going to fly from Burbank to Sacramento and back. And then the following week, I'm going to take a group of people, as I said before, here in Phoenix, from Phoenix to Burbank and back. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the uniqueness about this. It's the ultimate class for overcoming your fear of flying, because you get to fly, you get to practice the things that you've been working on, and you get to fly with other people, which is so key. And it's just an amazing experience. It's so much better than even just flying with me, because you got other people there, and you don't feel like an oddball like you do sometimes when you go by yourself. The special thing about LA, and Tiffany's out in the LA area, so she's or the Burbank area, so she's going to be able to do this. We used to partner with Air Hollywood Studios, and the pandemic put them literally out of business, and he had to relocate and all that. Well, he's up back up and live. And we used to do our whole 201 class there. Now the 201 class is in the cloud, but this will be the first return we have to the studios. So we're going to have a special pre-flight briefing live from the Air Hollywood studios on Friday night, October 20th. So anybody who's going to fly with us in Burbank the following day is invited to come to the Air Hollywood studios, and we're going to sit in a mock-up. He's got a wide body mock-up up there, and it's just the coolest thing because we can pretend like we're flying. We'll even make airplane noises if you need an extra dose of realism. But anyway, it's going to be in the studio, in the mock-up. And in addition, if there's anybody out there, we don't want you to feel left out anywhere in the world. If you want to see what we do when we brief for a flight like that, you can join us, and you can go to this link here to sign up for this. It's going to be a great opportunity. Like I said, we're going to live stream the class, and you'll be able to ask questions if you want. And even if you live in LA, but it's a Friday night from 6 to 8 o'clock on the 20th. So if it's a little too much of a hassle, you can't make it because of work or the traffic or something like that, you can watch it via live stream as well. But we've got some people that are going to come. We've got some people that are not going to fly with us that are going to come to the live stream event. So it's a great opportunity. It's the pre-flight briefing that I give when I have very little time to work with people to get them on a flight. Many people who call me within 24 hours of their flight, and there's not much time to say much or do much. And so this is kind of what I've learned how to do to cram in some really important things there for them. This is just it. We're going to fly in Burbank. We're going to fly Burbank to Sacramento. It's I've used that flight a lot. That segment's a really great one. The airport's really nice, laid back, both of them for that matter. And now another special thing. So this is for anybody as well. We're going to have a free webinar this Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time. And our goal is to help you get back in the air for holiday travel. So if you've been sitting there worrying about it and thinking, that you don't know what to do and fretting over, why can everybody else fly and I can't? This would be a great opportunity to join us. We're going to talk about the basics. Going to be some good information coming out. And we'll have a special offer for anybody who might be thinking about the flying with us on the 301 classes, either in Phoenix or in Burbank. So this is open to anybody out there. You'll have opportunity to ask questions and really, really get down and confront your fear and say, what am I waiting for? Okay. And we'll be doing that like I said, this Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern time, if I got my time zones right there. So we're really looking forward to that. Here's what a couple of people, good old Patty Oliver, she hadn't flown for 2 decades and avoided planes, and she flew with us in the 301 class, and it was just a transformative experience for her. And then Stephanie Reynolds, turbulence was Stephanie's biggest trigger, and she had the opportunity to practice some of the things we talked about leading up to the class, and it was again life-changing experience for her. So we really, really, really are looking forward to anybody who first wants to join us for the webinar this Saturday, and second, who can come with us and fly on either the 21st or the 20th of October. This is my favorite quote. Good old Tom. He said, overcoming fear flying means you got to get on the damned airplane sooner or later. And he says he's stunned by how different flying felt after attending the class. If you're serious about tackling this fear, time is ticking. The best part, it's a lot of fun. I know that may be hard to accept right now, but we have a lot of fun when we do this. So I'll quick break. Anything to add, Dieter? I'm gonna move into this one question that I had somebody submit this week.
Well, Jim points it out, the 301 class makes all the difference, and it really does. And Jennifer is excited that she'll be at the Air Hollywood studios in October as well. And lastly, there's also a question that came in when flying long distances, and I'm not sure if that's over water or not, are the chances of something happening to the plane greater or the same as if you just fly on a 45-minute short flight? So
Okay. Pure and simple, if longer is if you fly longer than shorter, there's more time where you're exposed to whatever the risks are involved with flying. But here's the deal. Flying is so safe because the way we manage the risks, right? We know, everybody knows you can't pull off to the side of the road at 35,000 feet like you can in your car. So that's why flying is safe. It's not how long it is or all that, but on a pure statistical risk point of view, yeah, it's your risk of something going wrong is longer, but your risk of something going wrong in a car, the longer you drive is higher as well. But again, what we want to do is we want to change the way we approach that mindfully and not think about how long it is and how much you're exposed to that. We want you to learn why it is, how we manage the risks, and why you don't have to worry if something happens, no matter whether it's a 45-minute flight or a 10-hour flight. Okay, so that's probably the quickest and dirtiest answer that I could give to that.
Well, and just to add to that, an airplane, for example, they don't actually measure how many hours of flight necessarily that airplane has, but how many cycles, and that's takeoffs and landings, because that's really where the most stress happens on the airplane, right? So these.
Good point, Dieter. And we do certainly keep track of the hours of the airplane because it has some merits to that. But basically, the stress on an airplane is determined by cycles, and that's takeoff and landing is one cycle, and we keep track of that. So, okay, I had an interesting comment come in, a question. This came in from a person who's been flying. She says, I had a really successful flight to Spain over the summer. Well, early October, we are going to Michigan. Our daughter just moved there to college. I'm so worried about it. We're taking Spirit, and I've only heard bad things about it, but it was going to save us over $1,000. Okay. So that's a great question. And the way I want to respond to that is the way I responded to this person here. It says the buzz when you go to fly, assuming that your biggest, you've gotten over the just getting on the airplane to fly. The second question is how much money can we save? All right. And what it boils down to is, and let me pull this down here and talk to the group. Okay. And so what you end up doing is you looked at how you could save money. And then the buzz around that usually talking about airlines like Spirit is about customer service issues and expectations as opposed to safety. So what you hear is, oh, I had a bad experience on Spirit. It was terrible, yada, yada, yada. But now your elephant brain converts that. By the way, come out to our webinar on Saturday. We'll talk about what an elephant brain is. But your elephant brain, that intuitive part of you, takes that information and it transforms it from safety versus safety of flight to bad customer service. And by this person's account, Flying Spirit is going to save her $1,000. They don't charge less for their tickets by cutting corners on maintenance. However, they lower costs by charging for every minute that you can imagine and some you can't. So they're going to get you carry. And so what I did was I encouraged her. I did a 10-minute Google search. I only had to look at the first 3 or 4 items on the page. And this is what I found out. There was a great article that says everything you should know before flying Spirit Airlines. Okay. And it says, indeed, some travelers love to fly Spirit. After all, Spirit's low flight prices can be attractive, especially for large groups and families. But Spirit Airlines recently placed 8th out of 10 on some rating agencies' 2120 best U.S. airlines list. The airline is notorious for long bag drop lines and poor communication during delays. Okay. Now, contrast that. Or then there was another comment there that said, flight problems and such as delays and cancellations were the top grievance for travelers, yada, 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 to reinforce that first one. Here's another one. It said, it's the second consecutive year Delta was named #1 by Wallet Hub, another rating agency, which studied each airline's delays, baggage issues, safety, and other factors. Spirit ranked #2. That's #2. Now, what's the difference between that and the things I just read there? The date. So if you're not paying attention, the date of the first comment was August 4th, 2021, which is 2 years ago. The date of the second comment was April 10th, 2014. So literally 9 years old. So if you're don't get caught up in that. That's what education is all about. And if you can't figure it out on your own, do like this person did. Send us an email. We'll help you sort through that. Okay.
And Jennifer just said she flew Spirit last month, and she said it was a great experience and very friendly flight attendants. So, you know, I'm gonna say you're gonna be able to fly with Spirit and have a great experience. You're gonna be able to fly with Spirit and maybe have not such a good experience, but you know, so much of what the ire of comedians, right? Because a lot of comedians like to single Spirit out is something that really is from a long distant past more than actual current
And they deserve
you know, leadership
back in those days and all that, you know. But what happens is they either move up or they move out, you know, because that's what competition does for all that, you know. And the last comment I saw with that, contrast the above report with this one. The overall reliability score for U.S. airlines are as follows. And what is this? As you can see, the lowest performing airlines were JetBlue, Spirit, Frontier, America, and United. That's March 3rd, 2023. And again, notice the date. You have to be careful what's reported and who's doing the reporting and what their motivation is and all that. So you gotta look through that. So that was just in March, and in the more recent one was just September 11th, 2023, and Spirit came out #2. So what Dieter was saying in many cases is you got to be careful. You got to manage your expectations. And you show me a person who's got expectations that certainly if they're unreal, I'll show you a person who's about to be disappointed. So you got to be careful when you do that, and we can't emphasize that enough. Let me go see if I got any other things to tidy up here before we call it quits.
I just quickly want to address. So you do need to register for the webinar on Saturday, and so I put the link in chat again. It's flf.link/webinar, and it's just a simple Zoom registration, just so we have a so we have a register of everyone who's gonna show up. There's a question, Ron, that I assume is something that you might have said. It says define lowest performing. So I'm not sure. I didn't hear that, so I'm not sure what the context was. But Denise is asking define lowest performing. So
you give it, Denise, if you're still there, can you give us just a little bit more?
Yeah, if you can give us a bit of context, that would be helpful.
Maybe it's a personal remark. She's seen me fly. I'm one of the lowest performing pilots. That's an inherent objective of a pilot. We try to figure out how we can get paid the most but do the least. So that might be relevant to that. But if you can come up with that, we'll try to get an answer. Otherwise, I'll email you after we get off the air, Denise. So anyway, okay. So quick review. This Saturday before that, we're going to fly 301 class, Phoenix and Burbank in the other order. Burbank on October 28th with a special live streaming flight preparation on the night before at the Air Hollywood Studios. And then we're going to fly again on October 28th out of Phoenix here. We'll also have an online, it won't be from Air Hollywood, but we'll have an online preparation briefing before that class as well. And then so if you're anybody out there, or you want more information, or you want just a little bit of free training, come and join us this Saturday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern for free webinar. Dieter's got the link in the notes there, and let us know you're coming. We're looking forward to helping you out, answering your questions there. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Tiffany again. I don't know if you're there, Tiffany. I know you were going to work out tonight, so maybe you're already doing that. But I want to take another opportunity to thank Tiffany for joining us and showing the same courage that she displayed when we went to fly, and the same courage she's showing. But keep coming back until she meets her goals and gets over that. So anyway.
So it was, you mentioned something about a report on lowest performing airlines.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And these, I did not go into detail to see what the details were on the companies that were rating these airlines there. And what I tried to emphasize was, you do want to do that. You want to see who's rating, and that's why I put right in the very end, who's rating it and what's their motivation, what's their goal. You know, if it was a survey paid by United Airlines, don't be surprised if United Airlines shows up higher in that. But
there's a joke about the Canadian airline, like Air Canada, because they tend to, you know, lead with certain surveys and stuff, and you know, a lot of them are either somehow tied to them, or you know. So because I don't think a lot of Canadians have a lot of positive things to say. But one thing I want to point out, and I think that you weren't clear about that, Ron, when you meant lowest performing, it wasn't about safety.
Right.
It wasn't about performance in terms of safety. It was performance such as customer service. And
when I tried to contrast her question, she said, I hear all these bad things about it. Well, the bad things are customer service issues, typically, not safety. That's why you want to be very careful before you assume you take that on board, because they all have and I went on to explain, everybody's got the same standards, the same compliance requirements, the same regulations that we have to perform under. So I put in there, they don't cut corners by cutting safe items that affect safety of flight. They cut corners by charging you for making it free, but you don't get to carry a bag on. You get one purse. That's it. And and I see when I looked in there in Spirit, now they've got a membership club. So now if you pay that, that's a little more income on the side. Now you can get some perks when you fly and all that. Everybody's trying to skin the rabbit a different way. But it's going to come down to pretty much, you know, if your goals are here to there and you got a group and you're trying to get them there at least cost, Spirit might be the thing to look at. But anyway.
And
all right.
I will just end with this. Jim posted that a friend of his got hired as a first officer by Spirit Airlines. Yep. So we'll check in with you, Jim, in a couple of months, and we'll get like the insider report on how.
Yeah. So the standards for the airplanes that they use, the standards for the pilots, the mechanics, and the flight attendants and the training are all the same. So they can't cut corners there. So anyway, okay. Thanks once again to Tiffany, and thanks, Dieter, to you for helping me do this every week. And thanks to all of you for tuning in every week. And that concludes this week's episode of Fearless Flight Live. I'm Captain Ron, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.